mooching some water. There we go. Do me a favor, everybody. Go ahead and like the video. Click subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting us here on the Burn It Down with Kim Brown platform. You can send us some material support. BIDWKB, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Patreon.com/BIDWKB. We appreciate all the support, everybody. Free support is welcome as well. Okay, we love y'all. The purses. And this story is an update and content warning. Well, everyone survived, so I can tell you that much. But this is another police brutality story that I brought y'all here maybe a week or two ago. And there has been an update already in this case out of Ellesmere, Delaware. You guys remember the story of the Delaware teens playing a game of ding dong ditch, running up to a home's front door, ringing the doorbell and running away. Ha 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 ha. 14 to 15-year-olds think that shit's hilarious, right? And it's a harmless, if not, annoying prank that the kids in America do. I don't know. Do people, I would imagine maybe children do this all over the world, but maybe they're going to stop doing this all over the world once they understand the level of ass whippings that a punk ass Delaware state trooper is willing to lay down on a pair of minors for doing something that is not even illegal. It's not even a crime. So charges have been brought against the Delaware state trooper who has been suspended, I believe, without pay. And they're moving to fire him. Young guy, actually. We're going to hear his name in the package, but the Delaware state trooper in question is 29 years old. And now the parents of some of these teenagers, two of these teenagers, in fact, have now decided to file a civil lawsuit against the Delaware state troopers as an entity and as an organization. And I think they're suing this cop too individually. Like I said, he has been charged, facing a number of charges. And plot twist, I think one of the children involved is black. The other one whose battered and bruised and bloody face pictures that we saw when the story first came out was a white child by the name of Jaden. And that's what kind of made the story newsworthy to me. I said, oh, Jesus, look at the police out here beating white children like this. You know the black kids in Delaware don't stand a chance. If they out here beating the white children like this, my God. Somebody go check on the black children that have had any contacts or engagements with the Delaware state troopers, because if they beating the white children like this, shit. And they beat this young man terribly. Like, my heart really broke for this kid. But anyway, we're going to pick up the story from News 10 Philadelphia, where the parents of these children announced their intentions to file a civil lawsuit behind the terrible assault and harm that their kids faced at the hands of this Delaware state trooper. Will, let's take a look at that.
So I just want him held accountable for his actions, and I won't ever see this happen to nobody else.
This woman's son was dragged out of his house by law enforcement who mistakenly thought her son was involved in the August front door kick on Trooper Dempsey Walters' house. Trooper Walters now charged with multiple felonies for calling other law enforcement agencies back in August to go after the kids he believed were involved, and for assaulting both he and the boy who actually did kick his door. A prank.
I'm sorry, I know what I did.
Prosecutors say when troopers found 15-year-old Jaden, they forcefully put him on the ground, and then when Walters arrived, they say it's on camera when he dropped a knee into his back and then later turned off his body camera and punched Jaden in the face while he was sitting handcuffed in a police cruiser. The camera actually did, though, record the punch that broke his orbital bone and gave Jaden a concussion.
Jaden just went back to school last week, but he is still recovering from headaches, so he's in and out of the nurse's office daily.
Trooper Walters is a 29-year-old member of the state police and is now suspended without pay and is set to be fired. The leaders of the state police say they knew right away to send the video to the attorney general's office, but lawyers for the family still want to know how a prank led to such a massive police response from multiple agencies. Why a response with officers in tactical gear? Why a state police helicopter? Why such violence? How did no other trooper or officer step in and question why they were all taking it this far? The family's lawyers don't believe there is this type of response if it wasn't a prank on a law enforcement officer's home. They also say Jaden didn't even know it was a trooper's house, and they say they believe the boys were held far too long without medical attention and without being charged because law enforcement officers needed time to hash out what was happening.
And they kept them there for a half an hour while they attempted, we believe, to get their story straight. That is just law enforcement sponsored torture.
Please tell me what I did.
In Wilmington, Tim Furlong, NBC 10 News.
Shit. I have some more details here that package didn't necessarily include. So the black child in question, you saw the black parents there at the press conference. State Trooper Dempsey ran into these people's house, the black child's house, and and pulled him out of his house at gunpoint. They dragged him out of the house at gunpoint, throwing him onto the ground where he sustained some injuries. Mind you, this 17-year-old black child, not only was he not there when the other boys was playing ding dong ditch, he didn't have shit to do with shit. He didn't have anything to do with anything. That, I believe, was the black child you hear on the camera footage. I don't know if it was body cam or inside the police cruiser cam, but he's crying. He said, can you please tell me what I did? Can you imagine the terror that child and his family must have been experiencing when these fucking white cops, maybe all of them wasn't white, but the main one was white. You gonna come in my house illegally, drag my teenage child out by gunpoint, and then be physically rough with him, assault him? And that's what they did to the black kid. My God, they gave poor Jaden, they'd have mixed up the treatments. They meant to treat the black teenager like they treated young white Jaden. They beat the shit out of Jaden, you guys. You heard Jaden's relatives there say that Jaden has just returned to school. This incident happened several weeks ago. Jaden had extensive surgery. In fact, I saw a different interview from his attorney that indicated to repair his broken orbital bone, his eye socket bone. Jaden had plates. He had screws put in. We're talking about a 15-year-old. These are injuries that he is going to have to live with for the rest of his life. And still dealing with the after effects of a concussion. And God knows what other injuries. You heard the report say that the trooper dropped his knee right into Jaden's back, and you heard him screaming. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to update this story. I mean, obviously that they seem to be serious about this in Delaware. Like, they seem to be taking this particular incident very seriously. And I'm appreciative of the questions asked by the reporter there. I guess who was perhaps echoing some of the questions asked by the representation of these families at the press conference. Why did you need a helicopter response for a kid playing ding dong ditch? Why did officers show up from multiple jurisdictions, some showing up in tactical gear, for some kids who rang the fucking doorbell and ran away? Why was the canines out there? Why? Why did y'all do all this for this? And the very simple, short reason and answers are that the police, number one, have too much fucking time on their hands. Ain't no actual crime out here. As much as we get these sensationalistic media reports about how extensive crime is, how the crime. Couldn't have been too much crime going on in Delaware that night if they had all these police officers ready and able to respond to a kid ringing a doorbell and running away. It must not have been that much fucking crime. And the other answer and reasons why the police would have such a massive response to this is because they can. Because they have the funding, they have the resources, they have the overtime, They have the ability. Again, like, did I say they have the time? Yes, they have the time because it's not much actual crime. I mean, I know the propaganda, sensationalistic shit to say the crime is off the hook, but again, not that night in Delaware. And obviously, the police have all the resources to activate them against any member of the public that they so choose, even if it's a 15-year-old committing no actual crime, breaking no law, simply doing something perceived to be an annoyance or a nuisance. The full weight of the state can be activated against any of us, right? And that continues to be what scares me most about police and about the criminal injustice system altogether. Because once they decide to collude and in some instances outright conspire against you, what are you going to do against the weight of the state? Jaden, to his credit, Jaden must have some other privileges going on besides his whiteness and his maleness. You know what I'm saying? I don't know from what social class this young man comes from, but I doubt, I don't know that if Jalen was a resident of the trailer park, that all this attention would be paid to young Jaden. Did I call him Jalen or Jaden? It's the same thing. Jaden, right? So Jaden must have multiple things going for him besides just being white and male, would be my guess. But